Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Eddie Marcus here again, and I'm here because I got some information I want to share with you. I've made a few notations here, and I'd like to read them to you. And having done that, I maybe spend a moment just to speak on something that might be interesting for us all. The subject that I was going to use is the world should be ashamed. 50% of the world disagrees with the other 50% on almost everything. They can never agree, and they will never change unless something drastic occurs. You know, they say you shouldn't swear. They have said this for some time. But, ladies and gentlemen, we used to have a thing where I come from say, I swear before the living God that the truth reveals the corruption of the kingdom of men. God's people will resist the kingdom of men. God's people reborn will not surrender to evil. And this is the path that is back to heaven. Now, the strategy here in the United States is this. The things of which supremacy is. For instance, they say you're better. They say you deserve more, and all of these things in others make you entitled. Now, these are lies, no doubt, and they're designed to divide. But such lies that divide, they end up creating hatred. They end up creating racism. They end up creating bigotry. Now, when you practice these things, they cause perhaps others to steal, to engage in violence. These things, one causing the other. Now, humans in the kingdom of men, they won't fix these problems, but they will build jails. And the fake Christians and others conform to stay in the body, not knowing the test is to free you from the body of from this body to a new body worthy of heaven. Thank you. Now, the world should wake up. Evil through Russia is attacking righteousness. Evil says you can't depend on righteousness, but evil says it will always be there for you. Now, what is happening, ladies and gentlemen? We know the truth of this. I don't know what it is, but when we are familiar with Republicans and Democrats, we know we got everybody wanting the same things, but they are arguing that the path to get there is, well, they are obviously different, but each one claims that their path is the most appropriate path. And the truth of the matter is the outcome of both representations that indicated that neither one knows what they're talking about. However, the people are so mazed that they just accept whatever comes. They might sit around and fuss a little bit and complain to each other, but at the end of the day, they do this because they feel that they have no power. They feel that others have the power. And even though they have, many of them, been in school, they still have no understanding about the system, and they have nothing understanding when it comes down to life. But God's people, now let me say, because most of you would say, well, who the heck are God's people? God's people are people who are walking around doing what explains God, what people just know is God. Obviously, a miracle, doing miracle stuff. Miracle stuff might be simple stuff like caring about somebody, especially putting your life on the line for their, there's no greater, they say. And so what we having to do with, ladies and gentlemen, when you're born again, and you hear me say this all the time, I'm really just repeating it. When you're born again, that means that you know that there's a God. You're not in this old thing talking about you believe in God. You don't need to go to a church, hear some preacher talking about God or talking about some stories that somebody has written about God. You don't need to hear some preacher telling you that plant some money in his pocket and God gonna bless you. You don't need to hear that stuff because you know all of this stuff is fake. You can see straight through it. You know that when God put us on this earth, he put us on here to take care of ourselves. And when I say ourselves, I'm not talking about just individually. Yes, individually. But the best way to take care of yourself individually is to have everybody else on your side. And how do you have everybody else on your side? By playing and giving your side to everybody else. You're not worried about anybody. You're not worried about it. You're not worried about anybody stealing from you because everybody got your back. Nobody's gonna let anyone steal from you. You don't have to worry about anybody hurting you. Why? Because nobody's gonna allow anybody to hurt you. Why? Because they need you. You are special. Who am I talking about when I say you? I'm talking about every last one of you. You were made that way, special. You came here to contribute in the process of life. That which you give makes life more wonderful for all the people that exist on the earth. That's the way it was designed to be. But the truth of the matter is, through the deception, the liar deceived you. You know, just like you get propaganda, and I'm just saying this because this is what was on the news, and I think we all been watching it. You got propaganda, they say, when Putin having a meeting over in Russia, telling people how he's going to rescue the Russian interest in Ukraine. When all of the other people who are now representing the cameras that the police got on, the police got cameras now so they can keep up to what's going on. So the news people acting like the police, they got the cameras and they are recording what's going on. And they are telling the world and showing the world what is going on, and it's totally different than what Putin is telling his people. But his people are confused because he cut all the other stuff out. Say we can't have that. We got to cut that news out. That's the same old stuff Trump was trying to do in America, calling the news fake so that people can get against the news and cut the news out so he can have Fox and his little cronies telling whatever lies they want to deceive us in. Ain't that something? Evil has no limit, ladies and gentlemen. And if you're not born again, you can't see that. And if you think you're smart enough to see it, you're not born again, you still can't do nothing about it because you know they will kill you. You don't want to die. You think Putin want to die? You think Trump want to die? No, they don't want to die. This is why. I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this is the sad thing. What our subject, the world should be ashamed. This thing that's happening over with Russia and Ukraine. You said Russia's trying to get this or trying to get that. It doesn't matter, ladies and gentlemen. We're looking at it in a perspective that doesn't make any sense at all. What we actually have, bottom line, is this. You have evil. That's an evil act. You have God creating people. And you got this man that decides because the people have given him this kind of power, and he's out of his damn mind, giving him this kind of power, and he's going to exercise that power by beating down on people, tearing up everything they spent their lives making, killing them and their children and their dogs and cats. As evil as it can be. The world knows it's evil. It's as evil as George Floyd being murdered. It's as evil as it can be. Now, the whole rest of the world, some of the guys amongst the world are just as evil as Putin. But the rest of them who say they're not that evil, sitting up, watching this. Oh, we know they're doing some little stuff. Like I always tell you, the Christians in America, they figure the state will allow them to contribute to the soup lines, give some money to charity, and get it back on your taxes. And they figure they're doing the work of God. They're doing this work they're pretending. Now, this is what you really call fake. The state is allowing them to do this so they can pretend like they're serving God, so people can relegate their service to God to no effect. No, that ain't, you can do that too, but that's nothing. You think I'm lying, you go in and ask those people that's surviving, the ones that have not been killed yet, even those that's running away. You go over there and ask them, what do they think about your conduct and your godliness? Ask them. Well, they'll probably tell you, be nice, thank you for what you have done. When you give somebody soup and a sandwich, they gonna thank you for it. But when you get down to the real nitty gritty, do they have a place to go home to? Do they have access to those things that are essential for the preservation of their lives? Do they? And since they don't, if they don't, what is the people who are representing God doing about it? They are doing nothing. Why? Because they're not here. You think, now I'm doing all this talking. I'm talking because I'm talking. But I'm alive. That means I'm just talking. And my talk don't mean too much of nothing. You think I'm lying? Look at who many people that clicked on it. My talking don't mean nothing. If my talking meant something, they'd be trying to kill me, and I'd be laughing. Why? Because they gonna get me out of this hell. See, you guys don't see what I'm talking about. You are caught up in it. And I'm not mad with you. I'm not mad with you. I know what you're going through. I've been going through the same stinking thing. And if God hadn't shown me the power of God. Now, when I say power of God, let me tell you now, I don't want to because God get a bad representation. When I say God, I'm talking about the exercise of an action that reflects a power that humankind is incapable of causing. And yet it exists. You don't see the force behind it, but there it is. And you know the purpose it serves. And it's right on time. Anything come like that to you, you call it God too. And it would tell you, whatever it is, that it's bigger and better than the hell that we have to go through every day. Especially when it's about survival. Especially when it's not just survival, but it's life. Oh man, I'm talking a long time. I bet I sound like a preacher sometimes. But I'm trying to say, what we are dealing with is dealing with what's going on over there is a challenge to the rest of the world. This is that's why I say evil and righteousness. Because if you try to say Russia or the East and the West or United States, that's a bunch of stuff to get you confused. This is about righteousness and evil. They are evil, and what are we? The rest of the world. Who and what are we? Are we? Right now we look like evil. Yep, we look like evil, even though we're serving soup and passing out some sandwiches and maybe putting somebody in the, YM, sure, you know what I'm talking about, YMCA. Yeah, I mean, those are good things, but hey, it doesn't stop anything, it doesn't change anything, just keep right on going. It's like building jails because somebody steal. You don't want to stop the stealing, you just want to build jails so people can keep going to jail, people can keep getting jobs and all that kind of stuff. You can keep on playing the game like you're doing something. You ain't doing nothing. But the people who can't see it think you're doing something. You know what they tell you? More cops on the street, bigger jails, longer time, more prison time. Nobody's going to say, why are they stealing? Well, they're missing something. Nobody's going to say, well, what is it they're missing? And how are we going to make sure they don't miss it any longer? And that's because you got to have a God in you to think that way. To think that way means you got to go against a system that establishes exactly what we're going through every day. It establishes it. You think I'm lying? Go through your city. Those of you in any city, go to your mayor. Share your problems. Share with them the failures of their ability to meet your needs or to accommodate what you need, and watch them tell you they can't do it. Then all of you in these various cities go to the state, tell your state governors the same thing, and watch them tell you they can't fix it. Then all of you cities in all of you states go to the federal government, stay your problems on the table and tell them what they have failed and ask them to take care of it. And watch them tell you they can't. They can't. Why? Because it's not designed to. What this thing was designed to do was to keep the people where the people are, to create the million and the multi-millions and the billion and the multi-billionaires, and the people to live the kind of life that they're living. And if there's some conflict somewhere, just some conflict, but people got to get their money, so they'll do whatever they got to do. And if they have to fight a war, they'll get you who ain't got no sense or no education and no job to pay you to go in there and fight their wars, rather than you listening to a person about God. And I can understand that because you don't even hear the stuff, the truth about God. The truth about God is calling you into action. Let me say one more thing and I'm going to close it out. I think I did a post on the path back to heaven. The path back to heaven. I think I made a statement about Adam and Eve when they were told that if they sinned, they were going to die. Whatever that meant. Something happened. And they did it anyway. So they had to go through some changes. We know what changes mean. It means like getting married. and then you taking some vows, and then breaking these vows. Then you're gonna go through some changes. That's a consequence. So you have walked out of the blessings of righteousness. You have walked out of the protection of heaven. You walked out of it. Now you want to come back in. You got to sacrifice everything that you gave up. This hell that you're living in, you got to sacrifice it. You got to give it up. Give every bit of it up. And when you give it up, they don't like that stuff. Now, personally, I'm just saying personally, I'm thinking that most of the people that, and I'm saying most because I don't know about all, most of the people that serve God, really serve God, they serve the people. That's how you can't serve God without, only way you can serve God is through serving people. To me, that's the way I see it. Singing and dancing don't mean nothing to God. It might need exercise for your body, but it means nothing to God. The dancing and singing that you can do for God is looking out for the pain and suffering that people are going through. Now that's singing, that's dancing, and God loves it. Because he knows evil can't stand it. But you taking care of business. And so really, to make a long story short, if they kill you, you're free from this hell. But if they're blessed, if they can receive the blessing, then they can start, rather than building jails and getting policemen, they can start making sure that you got a career. Making sure that the career is one that you love so you can give it the best shot. And we, the people who are benefiting from it, get the best thing you can give. Hey, my friends, that's a new kind of looking at life, and I'm offering it to you today. People all over the world, especially governments, I'm not trying to tell you anything. I'm just a common citizen who education is very limited, but who has gray hair and who knows that there's a power bigger than you and that what you're doing is destroying the world. And you have to change your ways. You have to change your action. You got to change your approach. And I'm not really talking to the leadership. I'm talking to the people, because the leadership not going to do anything extra unless you, the people, demand it. And I'm talking about demanded. I'm not talking about standing up protesting and they put 18,000 of you in jail like they're doing in Russia, saying you can't say nothing and they put you in jail. I'm saying if that's what they say, then every last person in the country need to be in jail. Every last person in the country need to be in jail. If that's what evil says and you want to represent righteousness. No, you don't say, well, I can't do nothing, so I sit down. No, you sit down, you doing something. You telling evil it's okay. Now, why do I keep talking this stuff about you to you? Because all of the other nations in the world, right now, if bombs are falling, if missiles are falling, if people are dying, and the rest of the world is sitting on the sideline having meetings, the time is out for meetings. The meeting should have been, if you were going to meet, while Putin was talking about coming. When he stood up, you guys should have grabbed him right then and sit his tail down. But no, you didn't do that. I would tell you why you didn't do it, but those of you already know why you didn't do it. Now, are you going to do anything about it now? Hey, it's the test. It's just a test. Until next time, Eddie Marcus say, good night.